Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green 19 podcast. I'm Dominique Yates. I'm joined by Tom Silverstein and Ryan Wood, coming to you from Denver, Colorado, where the Green Bay Packers suffered a 34-26 loss to a really talented Broncos team who really, in that second half, took care of business. And that's 11 straight wins for the Broncos. But, I mean, obviously the big story is the injuries that happened with the Packers. And from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, there was a different injury, but not just injuries, a lot of key players. Ryan, I guess it starts with Micah Parsons. You were at Matt LaFleur's press conference. Just takeaways from just the injuries from him and just from the group.
It is a very talented Broncos team. They're also healthy. They have Pat Surtain back. Micah Parsons not coming back this year. Matt LaFleur made it clear the team is fearing a torn ACL for Micah Parsons. And in Matt LaFleur vernacular, that's all. I mean, that's saying it without saying it. Everything about that was torn ACL, so it will be no surprise when the MRI confirms that. There were two players on this roster that were untouchable in terms of had to stay healthy and be productive to make a realistic Super Bowl shot. It was Jordan Love and Micah Parsons. And even still, you look at the current state of the Packers pass rush. Packers wouldn't make a Super Bowl without Jordan Love, but with Malik Willis, they're better equipped to replace Jordan Love than the Packers are to replace Micah Parsons. This is the most impactful injury for a Packers season since 2017 when Aaron Rodgers broke his collarbone. But this is worse because they had a first-round pick in 2018. There is no first-round pick in 2026. It's the type of injury that changes your thinking. All season, even when they had their bad losses, I thought this team had a very realistic Super Bowl shot because they had Jordan Love, Micah Parsons. They were very talented. I didn't know if they'd get there, but they had the talent. That's the requisite, right? And then four straight wins coming in to today. When they were up 34-20, when they were up 23-14 after that 40-yard run for Josh Jacobs, I had a thought that I hadn't had since the opening drive of the 2021 NFC Divisional Round game, which was this might be the best team in the NFL right now. Had they left Denver and really put it on them, which they had a chance to do if they stay healthy, that's how they would be perceived. They would be perceived as one of the eminent teams to beat for a Super Bowl. And then Christian Watson goes down, and then even more impactful, Micah Parsons goes down. I don't see how they recover from that.
Spoon, just, I don't know, takeaways and thoughts?
Yeah, the Parsons injury is, devastating because, they had structured their whole defense around him. If you take him away, they were still Super Bowl contenders, they thought, anyway, before he got here. And they had played defense pretty well last year. But they've been gradually losing key players, and at some point it just is too much. You can't lose Tucker Kraft, you can't lose Elton Jenkins, you can't lose Devontae Wyatt, and then lose Parsons, and maybe you're losing Christian Watson. We don't know for sure. You might not have Zach Tom for a week or something like that, although him and Evan Williams seem to have escaped any kind of really bad injury. At some point, it just rips you of your best players, and you can't lose your best players. Now, you can look at 2010 when the Packers lost all kinds of starters, and Aaron Rodgers, it just happened to coincide with Aaron Rodgers becoming, like Hall of Fame caliber, like MVP caliber, I should say. He carried them after that. Their defense was still pretty good. Jordan Love is reaching that level. He's starting to come in that far, but I just don't think they have enough left on defense to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they threaten anybody unless they become a blitzing kind of a defense, and I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, it really stood out to me in that game. Granted, the Broncos offensively were still doing good things with Parsons in the game.
Yes, they were.
I mean, they were.
Forget
I'm
that. They
saying,
were moving the ball.
I mean,
yeah.
we can't take away from like there were still some struggles defensively for the Packers, but you see Parsons goes down within 2 plays, they score a touchdown. Bo Nix throws it to Troy Franklin, just a nice ball in the corner of the end zone. Then they scored again in the fourth quarter. So it's like you start to see some of the flaws, particularly from the Packers defense when Parsons is not there.
Right.
You saw what the defense looks like when the pass rush isn't there. It's going to be tough to see what's to come because, you still have a Rashawn Gary. You still have Lucas Van Ness, who's back, and Kingsley Enagbari. But there's only one Micah Parsons on this team. So, again, it's just going to be a difficult thing for them.
I've thought the past couple weeks now, NFC Championship game between the Packers and Rams, boy, that's going to be an interesting matchup, and really that comes down to whether or not the Packers could pressure Matthew Stafford enough to rattle him. If not, then they don't have it on the back end because Matthew Stafford to pick him apart if he has time. I've had that thought. I no longer have that thought. I don't think they're getting to that point. The current state of the Packers pass rush, they have 3 players on their roster and their ether with more than 2 sacks this season. Micah Parsons, 12.5 out for the season. Rashawn Gary, 7.5. And Devontae Wyatt with 4 out for the season. Rashawn Gary has not had a sack in 6 games. That's your Packers pass rush. That's not near enough.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's not going to be. It's not what's going to work. They're going to have to figure out another way to play.
Yeah.
I mean, they put a lot of everything in the Micah Parsons basket, and everything's been kind of structured around him. Now they're going to have to start highlighting someone else, whether it's Edgerrin Cooper or Quay Walker. But they just at some point you have to win at the line of scrimmage. Someone has to win at the line of scrimmage, and I don't know who that's going to be.
Yeah, as a follow-up defensively, when you look at the secondary, I mean, we've talked about that group, but it's I don't know if maybe it's I guess part of it is the competition in terms of who they're playing, but sometimes you would at least think, could you at least stay the same? Can you stay consistent?
Yeah.
And you're just not even getting that from this group right now. Just, what did you kind of see?
Well, you see what happens when there's no Micah Parsons threat. All of a sudden, Bo Nix has enough time to survey, and he can get double moves, and the Packers' corners aren't good enough. They're good enough when Micah Parsons is, pressuring the quarterback constantly. But now they're going to be liabilities, I think, unless they figure out, some structure to protect them a little bit more. And I don't know how you do that. The only other way I can think of doing it is heavy blitzing, is just becoming one of those, like Kansas City does. I don't know how they maybe get real conservative and just try to stop the run and maybe figure that's how they'll stop people, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
I asked Matt LaFleur after the game, are you going to have to play differently now? And he wasn't going to reveal the plan, but in the way that he answered the non-answer, it was pretty clear that, yeah. But here's the thing, they have a short week to Chicago now. And when we talk about playing differently, Spoon, I think you made an absolutely great point, which was they built this entire thing around him. He is not just the foundation; he's the walls, the roof. He is the entire structure of that defense. So playing differently means drastically overhauling the way you play. I don't see how they get that done in 1 week.
Not in 1 week.
And there's a short week at that going to Chicago,
Yeah.
which is maybe a de facto NFC North title game. So it came at a terrible time. And it also came at a terrible time because now the start of next season is very much in jeopardy for him as well. I mean, 9 months from now is the middle of September. Maybe Micah Parsons is a freak. I mean, he plays like one. But by any measurement, he's not going to be there for week 1 either.
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead.
No, he's going to be somewhat like Christian Watson. Christian Watson hurt his on the last week of the season, so maybe 3 or 4 weeks from
Yeah,
now.
beginning of October.
So, yeah, he might be available in September. But regardless, what they'll have to do is Gary is going to have to become Parsons. They're going to start doing, because they were doing that last year. They were moving Gary around, standing him up, and that's the best they're going to be able to do. I don't know how else they function.
And here's what's wrong with that, though. And I know you agree with it. Rashawn Gary's not Micah Parsons.
No.
Rashawn Gary not being Micah Parsons is exactly why they traded for Micah Parsons, because he's just not in what Rashawn Gary has been. Take this game away. The last 5 games, no sacks. What he's been in this role with Micah Parsons, I've thought is enough. Plays a run really well. He gets pressures. He was chasing Bo Nix around. Mm-hmm. He chased Caleb Williams around a couple times. He gets pressures. Doesn't get sacks. That's fine in the role that he had. It's not fine in the role that he's going to need to play now.
Yeah. I mean, he's like a 7 to 8 type of sack guy, while Parsons is a double-digit type of sack guy.
But they're gonna be setting him up now, whereas he was more of a complimentary piece. Go get your sack after Micah Parsons gets after the quarterback. And now, I don't think he's gonna, all of a sudden have 6 sacks the last 3 weeks of the season. But they can get him some one-on-ones, and he should be more active. I just don't know where they get the rest of it from. If they still had Wyatt, I would think that they could maybe get along without Parsons and still, be okay in the playoffs. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, but now, without Wyatt, I just don't see it.
Yeah, it changes so much, because this entire season we would talk about the opposing offenses just dinking and dunking.
Yeah.
Just no dropbacks, not letting Parsons change the game. So it's like, this quick throw here, quick throw there. Now it's safe to say these corners are going to get picked on for the Packers. You're going to see maybe some more explosive plays. You're going to see them push the field. Granted, there is still Xavier McKinney back there, but wouldn't be surprised if you see some more of that.
I asked Xavier McKinney after the game, is this the most you've been tested all season? Because I thought it was. He agreed. He's like, yeah, I don't know why. I have a hypothesis.
Yeah, right.
You didn't have Micah Parsons in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Might have had a direct correlation to, okay, let's try the middle deep a little bit more.
Yeah, and they gave him an opportunity, too. He had that.
They did.
That could have changed the game.
It's almost like he's rusty from having so few opportunities all year. Like, you got to almost knock the rust. Because he has not been tested at all. And so he's going to get tested now.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see how McKinney will play throughout this stretch. Evan Williams as well, because, like you said, Carrington Valentine, like they're going to pick on him. They're going to try to get him in space. They're going to see, like, okay, make them tackle. Like, they're going to pick on these guys. They're going to try to make some double moves on Keyshawn Nixon to see if he'll bite. Like, they're going to do a lot of – it's going to just be very fascinating to see what some of these offenses look like. Even Chicago. I don't know. I mean, I know they ran the ball a lot with Swift and Monangai, but Ben Johnson is just tell Caleb Williams just go out there and make plays.
Are you kidding me? They don't have to do all the bootleg stuff now. Now he can actually drop back.
Yeah. So it's going to be just, again, I don't know. We're going to see what Jeff Hafley and that group is made of, how they adjust. But even though and then we can move and talk offensively for a little bit as well, because, when we even talked about it, because of the situation with the defense, it's going to be more pressure on the offense to get them in some of these games. Maybe there might be some shootout games. Can the Packers win that? Can they kind of do what the Broncos have done? Some of these strong fourth quarter plays with the offense. I don't know. What did you kind of see from half to half from the offense today?
If we existed in the world where Micah Parsons didn't get injured tonight, we'd be talking about how big of an injury that Christian Watson injury is. Just think about this for the Packers offense. Twice this season, they have established a go-to number one target, and twice they have been injured. And we don't know the severity for Christian Watson. He left the stadium, went to the hospital. He's flying home with the team. We'll see how severe it is. We don't know. But if it is severe, that's losing two number one. That's like losing Micah Parsons and Devontae Wyatt. It's the direct equivalent of that, where it's not just one, it's both. my goodness, if you had both of them, imagine how good this offense would be, right? So, it was very clear that the Broncos are a heavy man coverage team. The Packers had a lot of success in the first half with that, and the Packers were not going to blink because they're man beaters. That they love going deep and being aggressive against man coverage. They love going to Christian Watson deep against man coverage. I do think that the play he got injured on might have been a play too many of going deep against Pat Surtain. They had tried it earlier, didn't work. Pat Surtain said that they flipped the formation, but he knew the play was coming. You just don't test that man too many times. He's the best corner in the NFL, and he showed it on that play, playing the pass like a receiver and then obviously falling on Christian Watson afterwards and injuring him. But when Christian Watson was out, he didn't have a big game tonight. He had 3 catches, 5 targets, 29 yards. But just his mere presence is a lot like Micah Parsons. His mere presence in the pass rush, it just opens the field for everyone else so much that when he's out, you don't get that. It was a much less explosive offense without Christian Watson being on the field, and that's what their reality will be if he is out for an extended period.
It was fascinating when I think about that play where Watson got hurt, because like you said, he had Pat Surtain on. I mean, went there. But if you watched it, I remember looking, you saw Romeo Doubs just go across the middle, and he was wide open. But he's, like I said, he already went to Watson on that play.
He likes one-on-one against anyone in the NFL with Christian Watson.
Yeah.
No safety help. He likes
got
that matchup.
hit when he was throwing it, too, and I think that's what left it up a little short. But here's what I think. I think losing Christian Watson might have cost them the game today.
Yeah.
He's made some really big clutch catches against the Giants, against the Lions, against the Bears. And they had those 3 possessions at the end where they still could have tied the game, and maybe even won. Like the game wasn't completely out of, John Payton kept making questionable decisions, but they just didn't have Watson. I do think, though, that they can survive without him.
Yeah.
If Love keeps playing the way he's playing, because he's putting the ball on guys. I mean, he put the ball on Josh Jacobs. He couldn't have thrown that any better. He's starting to get a little bit of a rapport with Matthew Golden. You saw he had 3 catches for 55 yards and had a 25-yard pass interference call. So he's starting to heat up with him. I don't know what happened to Wicks today. He just disappeared. So I think, and he's found Musgrave. Musgrave can get him some first downs. It's not the end. I mean, you got to get Christian Watson back at some point. But if they have to go the last 3 weeks of the regular season without him, I still think they can be successful offensively. I just, if they get in shootout kind of things, I don't know if they can do that.
Yeah.
Safe to say that losing Christian Watson was a game ender. Losing Micah Parsons is a season ender.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
I think they're questionable to return.
Yeah.
That's kind of what their season is.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing with this offense. I mean, they scored 26 points. It's not like it was.
Played really well.
It wasn't like it was a 6-point outing like against Philly or 10 points or 13 or anything like that. They scored 26. The first half, they had some good moments. And I remember I talked to Jaden Reed and I talked to some of these guys in the locker room. They said, like, okay, yeah, we're going to be fine offensively, but we're just killing ourselves. You can't have 10 penalties. Granted, it was from special teams. It was defense. Everybody was given. They were just gifted special teams.
5 procedural.
5 procedural.
Those are back, and they had gone away. They had done a pretty good job over the last month, or the win streak, of not killing themselves with these pre-snap stuff. And here they are again.
Yeah, personal foul.
You can't have, 3 unnecessary roughness calls.
You just can't.
You can't do
It's
that.
Stupid. The Broncos just kind of egged them onto it, and they fell for it. I don't know. I also think the other key loss that cost them was Zach Tom.
Yeah.
At the end, they couldn't get a pass off.
Yeah.
And Kennard was getting, pushed around pretty good. And they're rushing 4 guys, and they're still not stopping anybody. And, It doesn't mean that Love was going to rally them back, but at least let him get a pass off, and he couldn't, especially on 3rd and 4th downs.
Yeah, so it was just a lot of rocky moments. I would imagine Rasheed Walker is going to want to burn this film. What, he had 4 penalties by himself?
4 penalties by himself.
4 penalties by, he was the most penalized player
2 false starts
from this group. Yeah, 2 false starts.
No snap count.
Yeah, so I mean, how you just can't have that in these moments against teams like this, because there are, in terms of you want to win in the playoffs and make runs, these are the type of teams you'll face that won't hurt themselves and won't make a lot of the mistakes. So if you're going to lose the turnover battle, the penalty battle, and all that, again, you're not going to have success at all.
If Rasheed Walker continues to have this many penalties, they have no choice but to consider Jordan Morgan as their left tackle. They have no choice.
We might as well just, knock our heads against the wall over there. They're not doing it.
They have no choice if 4 penalties is a game. These defenses down the stretch in the playoffs are going to be too good to consistently put yourself behind schedule with pre-snap penalties. You cannot live that way.
He and Morgan should have been competing for that job months ago.
Yes.
And, here's where we're at. So they seemed so stubborn. It took them forever to put Belton in there.
The problem, what's really backfired for them there is I really believe the reason why Rasheed Walker has continued to be the left tackle is they view him as a higher floor. I think that, Jordan Morgan, he's young. He might get out there, and there's a higher ceiling there, but he might screw up too. You feel like Rasheed Walker, you're going to get more consistent play. But here's the thing. Part of that high floor is pre-snap penalties. That's bare minimum basic stuff. Yeah. You can't have it. And when that happens, your floor lowers. So if that's what backfires there.
Yeah. Go ahead.
He gets bull rush too. He does pushed back into the quarterback a lot.
He does.
I don't know that Jordan Morgan would do that much better, but why not try to find out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they tried it with Anthony Belton at guard, and he's far from a finished product.
Right.
I mean, he had some times he got beat. He had a penalty in this game.
Yeah.
But still, you see the 40-yard touchdown run. That was great blocking by him. Sean Ryan did a terrific job. So it's like he's had some of those moments where it's like, okay, you have something to work with there. But as far as with Jordan Morgan at left tackle, we haven't seen that since training camp or preseason. So, who knows that going into week 16, it could have worked. So, it might be too late, who knows. But, yeah, that's just an issue that they just have to work on because, again, you can't have these too many careless mistakes.
The offensive line doesn't just matter for the protection either. There's no coincidence that Jordan Love has played better as Josh Jacobs has looked fresher. I know you keep saying the knee is a bother. It didn't look like a bother tonight. He looked he had a lot of bursts tonight, and he had a lot of bursts in Detroit. He had a lot of, he looked pretty good against Chicago. He's playing through this thing.
He said he was hurt.
As he's looked better, so is the passing game, so is the quarterback. And if Christian Watson's missing a significant amount of time, you're going to have to run him more. Matt LaFleur mentioned that tonight. Boy, he looked pretty good. Maybe we should have ran him more. It's pretty clear that Josh Jacobs was on a pitch count, and I don't blame him. I don't fault them for that. If that knee's not feeling great, you want him fresher late in the season. I get that. But they're going to have to run it more without Christian Watson. It's not just going to be other receivers step into bigger roles. I mean, the run game's going to really account for something.
Yeah. I think not only the run game, and I just see what you get from some of the Matthew Goldens of the world. Like, can you even use him even more in this offense? Obviously, you're still going to have Jaden Reed. I'm like, there's still plenty of pieces here. Yes, it starts with the run game. We've always said Josh Jacobs is the engine that gets things rolling. So, but other than that, it is not the end all be all you say for this offense. It's just going to be crucial for them to find ways to get some of those other receivers going.
Yeah, now it's a question of whether they're going to make the playoffs at all.
Yep.
If they lose to Chicago, then it's iffy.
Yeah. Suddenly, Baltimore doesn't seem like the guaranteed win that I really thought it was with the Micah Parsons. I didn't.
They look really
I thought
good against
he was going to be a tonic against Lamar Jackson.
I don't think Minnesota's a lock either now.
Yeah.
Playing
beat the Cowboys tonight in
and the
Dallas.
Lions are starting to come back. So
I think you're right, Spoon. I haven't really looked at it yet, but I'm going to, and I'm wondering The Lions are playing better. I know they had the loss today, but they went toe-to-toe with the Rams for most of that game. They have the Bears at the end of the season. I don't think it's a lock that they make the playoffs without Micah Parsons.
Yeah, so, man, again, I even said it before all the injuries that it could be a photo finish for not only who got number one in the NFC North, but who's going to get in the playoffs, who's going to get out. So,
Well, again, go back to the early third quarter. They really were in a position where across the league, had they closed this game, which I think if they stay healthy, they have a plus 50% chance of doing. If they had closed this game, they are looked at as a very short list Super Bowl favorite. That is the position that they were going to be in. And boy, things changed big. Not just they changed big.
yeah, I mean, you could feel the air just like leave on that sideline. When it started with the Christian Watson injury, you could see they were deflated. And they just never recovered from that, which, again, you saw they had the Josh Jacobs touchdown. Then the rest of the way, only a field goal from Brandon McManus. Mm-hmm. That was the only points they had the rest of the way. So, again, you got to get ready for Chicago.
Hey, Spoon, you think the Packers special team still thinks the officials might hate them? Oh, yeah.
I don't know, boy.
3 special teams penalties.
Yeah.
It just keeps happening. It's unbelievable how often, how frequent. There's not that many special teams plays in a game. And it's a lot.
They're guaranteed to have one special teams penalty, for sure.
Yeah. I don't get it either. I mean,
they had 3 tonight.
They had actually done pretty well up until the Chicago game. Then they had 3, and then they had 3 again.
Yeah, and again, it's one thing to say, okay, maybe you got a block in the back, like what Bo Melton had one last week, or there's a hold here and there, but on an extra point, with Carl Brooks' unnecessary roughness, Kingsley and Igbar, like I didn't either. I couldn't really see it.
He must have been lined up over the center or something, too far over the center, maybe.
Procedural.
Yeah, but those are those moments in special teams you can't have it because, for one, I mean they didn't get killed on the return game. Like it's not like Mims took a touchdown to the house or anything of that nature. So, and Brandon McManus, he came back to Denver and he delivered. So, which was big at least for him in the kicking game, but. Still, there's just so many of the moments. That was just kind of the name of the game. And that's been kind of the name of the game in a lot of the Packers' losses. Yes, obviously you got to give it to the opponent and what they did, but a lot of it is just what the Packers did poorly.
You got to give a lot to the opponents now. That Broncos team has a real shot at a Super Bowl.
They're good.
They're really good.
So, they don't have much of a run game.
No. But Bo Nix, man.
I don't think they have a ton of receivers, but he was just on today.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, he was making some throws.
Caleb Williams-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, because there was a lot of pressure when Mike Parsons was in the game. They were in the backfield quite often, and he's making plays.
He's still making plays.
Mitigating the rush.
No sacks.
I think the AFC, Drake May might have something to say. Josh Allen, if he shows up to the stadium as, hello, I am football god, he can beat anybody. And the Texans defense can beat anyone. I mean, I'm not saying the Broncos are the absolute favorite in the AFC, but they're one of them. I mean, they lost to a team that could be in the Super Bowl this season. No question about that. There's no shame in that loss. The shame is Micah Parsons torn ACL.
Yeah. So, and I know it's so weird now because going into this game, I think I even brought it up on the last pod. I was like, we'll see how far this Packers team has grown. You could say, yeah, they've had this winning streak, but they hadn't played a defense like this since the Browns. So I was like,
they were showing you.
Yeah, and so it's like, we'll see how far they come. But then the injuries happen, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, the first half, they blocked them.
Yeah.
I mean, Love had all day to throw.
8 straight completions to open the game.
And his numbers at halftime were phenomenal.
Yeah.
He was on his way to a 400-yard passing game.
Yeah.
And then everything just fell apart.
Which I would not have expected against this defense. It was some really sublime play. What's crazy is that Bo Nix's numbers were even better. And that's not a knock on Jordan Love. He was playing out of his mind. That's how good Bo Nix was. Both quarterbacks were playing at an extremely high level. I wouldn't have expected that against these defenses, but it was happening.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, that second half, one team, just dug deep and said
Stayed
we're
healthy.
winning this game and stayed healthy.
One team stayed healthy.
And that's what the Broncos did. So, guys, any final words, final thoughts as we wrap up this podcast?
No, short week to Chicago. It all comes down to that, I think. I really
does.
do think that game means a ton.
It does.
More for the Packers than the Bears.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's funny. We just saw this, all of a week ago, who was at the top of the division between those two. And you're going to see it again.
You know what's interesting, as I said at our last pod, what a spectacular matchup and yet unfair matchup this was for the Packers to have this game sandwiched between two Bears games. Not ideal from a schedule-making perspective, without having any idea the carnage that would come out of this game. It's just far from ideal.
Yeah, so there were a lot of injuries. We wrote about it. We talked about it. So there was just a lot that happened. A brutal day in Denver for the Packers, losing this game, snapping a 4-game winning streak. But you head back to the NFC play. You got to take on the Bears at Soldier Field. Said it's going to be a big one, and it really all comes down to this. So we'll see what this team looks like without Michael Parsons, maybe even Christian Watson and some of those other pieces, and we'll see how they perform. So it'll be very fascinating. But, hey, guys, really do appreciate it, as always, for the insights. And thank you all for checking out the Green 19 podcast. For Ryan Wood, Tom Silverstein, I'm Dominique Yates.